know what the Hong Kong thing made me think of, though? The U.S. government issued a warning to U.S. citizens to not travel through Hong Kong.
This is new. This is not
new.
part of the
Yeah.
the warning against China.
No, it just happened last week, and it is specifically about not like going to Hong Kong, but even transiting through Hong Kong. Like if you have a
Really?
connection in Hong Kong, they're like, try not to make a connection through Hong Kong, because they've been temperature screening people at the airports. Like even if you're just getting off a plane to get on another plane, and if they find that you have an abnormally high temperature, which doesn't necessarily mean COVID, but if you have a high temperature, they actually take you off the plane and won't let you get on your next plane.
I mean, you might have just seen somebody wearing Communist Party chic, and that got your temperature up.
And then people have been taken away to quarantine camps in Hong Kong.
That's nuts.
And then, of course, if we ended up in a quarantine camp in Hong Kong, we'd be in Hong Kong, and we would be people who have violated the national security law.
Don't tell them that, Matt.
We have not violated any laws. Well, actually, I mean, I would like to say we have not. We're very good people.
That was a stunningly, very persuasive defense.
The judges would be in tears. These people who are very good, they do not deserve.
I'm drinking coffee out of this mug, but it is not kicked in yet. So
okay.
That's my excuse.
Well, we're back at COVID. I think like there's plenty to talk about as far as like how insane China's zero COVID policy has gone.
I mean, I think there's how many 60 million people or something currently under lockdowns of some sort.
And well, I mean, the big story that happened that I think just demonstrates how insane all of this is there was a pretty big earthquake in Sichuan province, which is prone to earthquakes. But you know, when there's an earthquake, and I'm from California, I've been through some big earthquakes. You want to, get out of a building because it could collapse. But because there's lockdowns and stuff going on, all these people, they tried to flee their buildings and found that they had been locked inside because of COVID. You wouldn't want people to get sick.
They just want to keep people safe, Chris. That's why.
God bless them.
Yeah. I mean, it's really so that the neighborhood committees or the buildings don't get in trouble with the authorities, right? Like it's CYA. Like nobody told them that they couldn't let people flee, but they also didn't know that if they could. So the safest thing is to keep people locked up so they don't get in trouble.
Until it becomes like this international story of like people were trying to flee an earthquake, and because of the zero COVID policy, they weren't allowed outside of their buildings.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine what would have happened if anybody had actually been hurt because of that? Like if a building had collapsed, or then the backlash, like, and all the people who prevented people from fleeing would have gotten in trouble. This is exactly what happened, the kind of thing that was happening when people weren't being allowed into hospitals because they didn't have like a updated enough COVID tests. Like there was that one case of the woman who, I forget what city it was in. I think it also happened in Shanghai and a couple other places where women who were in labor or something that were not allowed to enter the hospital because they didn't have a correct COVID test. Like theirs had expired.
Mm-hmm.
It had been more than 48 hours or something. Like the one woman, was it in Wuhan again? Like there was
might have been Xi'an.
Xi'an? Okay, so it was somewhere where she actually was bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wouldn't let her in and she sat outside the hospital for hours and then eventually miscarried the baby. So then that became a huge story and people were really upset. And then everybody involved in the hospital administration got punished.
Yep.
And they were just trying to be like, oh, well, if we let her in and somebody gets sick, we're going to get punished. So we can't let her in.
Yeah, just climate of terror. Another thing we were talking about, Chengdu, which has just been put under lockdown. Another demonstration of just how insane this zero COVID policy is going. They were making people line up for hours in the rain to get COVID tests. But then there was like some glitch in the system and they couldn't carry out the test. And so they were just standing there in the rain, in the dark.
Oh, that's not the worst. Like a few weeks ago when there was the big heat wave happening in Chongqing, which is neighboring Chengdu, like they had to have like mass testing there. And so like people were literally fainting because of like people were getting heat stroke because they were being forced to line up outside during the day during this massive heat wave.
It's too bad they couldn't speed the process up, maybe some kind of Chongqing Express. I don't know.
Okay, I was like, where are you going with that?
Did you also think about that an hour ago?
2 hours ago.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so now we're going to start talking about Wong Kar-wai movies. We can go back to Hong Kong.
Hey, that's right. No, we'll save that for movies unwatched.
Where we review movies that we haven't watched.
I like that.
What if you just reviewed a movie based on just the title?
And the poster.
good.
I think the poster.
Maybe some things you've heard around the internet. So what do you think of Rings of Power? Eh? Nah, we won't go in.
I actually have not watched that.
Neither have I, so it's perfect.
There we go.
TV unwatched.
Were you going to make a point?
Were you going to make a point?
No.
Guys, I thought you were carrying each other. What happened?
Now we're just fighting.
As is.
This is you're like separating us so we don't come to blows.
Uh-huh. That's my life.
Yeah, basically. That's why you sit in the middle.
Yep.
But yeah, it's amazing how badly the zero COVID policy is going. And actually how quick the turnaround has been as far as Chinese COVID propaganda goes. Because for so long, even today, like we still see Western media talking about how well China handled the COVID pandemic, that they prevented deaths and blah, 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 blah. And like they were the shining example of it. And now suddenly like everyone's like, okay, zero COVID is actually really bad and stupid. And this is destroying the economy. In big ways.
I mean, I think part of it is that because the variants have become less and less deadly and most of the rest of the world has
Are you
opened
allowed
back
to say
up.
that on the internet?
Yes. I didn't say why.
Is saying why it's less deadly?
Oh, I mean, I think there's basically like a tendency to attribute that to vaccines. Like because more people are vaccinated or something. So
we don't want to get in trouble for spreading rumors.
yeah, okay. You asked.
I did. I made a mistake. An internet mistake. Yeah, that's another thing, how China has these rules about, making a crime to spread rumors. And we got a taste of that with a lot of COVID things.
I mean, yeah. I mean, from the very beginning, right, with that Dr. Lee Wong got reprimanded for spreading rumors.
Right, but
And
also just like over 2 years, how politically incorrect it's been to have a dissenting opinion on COVID, even if you're in the United States.
Oh, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about China.
No, I was talking about
Okay.
the U.S. just.
But and also the guy in Chengdu who got arrested and detained for 2 weeks for spreading rumors that Chengdu was going to go into a lockdown.
A few days before it went into a lockdown.
Yeah, same thing happened in Shanghai, actually, where people were saying that Shanghai was going to lock down. They got in trouble for saying it, and then 3 or 4 days later, it locked down.
Well, because people are really scared because I think it was Xi'an where it first really became like known throughout China that like people were being forced into lockdown and they didn't have enough food. And then that happened in Shanghai. And then people in Chengdu see this. And so when this internet user, Tropical Rainforest, I think was his username, said that, there might be a lockdown in Chengdu, panic buying happened. You saw all kinds of crazy videos. I think there was like one video, like one image of like a guy who just tied like a bunch of chickens around his car.
Yeah, and multiple people with either an entire pig or enough pork to reconstitute a pig in the back of their cars or something like that.
Maybe they were just scientists.
They were assembling a pig.
A Franken-pig.
For some reason...
That wouldn't make frankincense.
Oh.
That was a 3-hour plan.
Okay. Well, suddenly I thought of Bunnicula.
What?
Did you ever read those books as a kid, Bunnicula?
No. Is this the rabbit hole we want to go down?
Well, it's
Literally.
about a vampire rabbit that sucks the life force from vegetables.
Oh, wow.
And a bunch of other pet animals who are investigating this, like, vampire rabbit.
Do we have a terrible podcast?
Terrible?
Let us know in the comments below. But yeah, like you see how these insane high-level government policies inspire insane reactions from local officials. And then how that just leaves the entire population of China absolutely terrified.
Yeah, I mean, even the panic buying in Chengdu, like Chengdu, as far as I know, has not run out of food. It was just the panic buying because everybody had seen what had happened in all these other cities and were upset and worried about not being able to go out and get food. But Chengdu has actually allowed one person per household to go out and buy food.
Oh, what a wonderful
Yeah, they've
government.
learned their lesson. Like they're being much more, flexible now. And then because of the earthquake, people were joking whether, one person per household would be allowed to escape the earthquake.